Hello, welcome to Revenant Reads. I'm Ben, and this is the Book Postscript Tag for 2022. So this will be my second year in a row doing this tag. I had done one for 2021 when we transitioned into 2022, and now I'm doing it again as we transition into 2023. I think it's a pretty good tag to kind of just reflect on a little bit and wrap up the previous year. So let us begin going through the prompts. The first one is the longest book you read this year and the book that took you the longest to finish. That would be the same book. And that would be James Clavell's Shogun. This clocks in at, let's see how much. Excuse me. Almost 1,300 pages. I read this as part of a group read for March of the Mammoths, a booktube event where you read books that are over 800 pages. One that I've been wanting to check out for a while, decided to jump in, and I was able to find this very affordable, really nice looking edition from Blackstone. Nice. Inside the cover, I've shown this off before, but nice designs. This is a beautiful book, and I did enjoy this book. I did a video on it, just talking about my thoughts on it. I was a little bit, I have to admit, kind of disappointed a little bit by the ending, but otherwise I thought that it was a very good read. But it took me, I think, just pretty much the whole month to read it. Number 2, a book you read in 2022 that was outside of your comfort zone. That would be books written in Latin. They are definitely outside of my comfort zone. But I decided in the second half of 2022 that I wanted to start learning Latin, at least to read it. My goal is not to speak Latin necessarily, but I did want to be able to read some simple Latin texts. Something I'd wanted to do really ever since I was a teenager, but just never got the opportunity. Every time I thought I was going to get the opportunity, a class would get canceled or a course would be eliminated from a curriculum or something like that. So, I didn't have any Latin courses readily available. But I started doing some research. I started using the app Duolingo, which I'm pretty much done with. I mean, I'm just doing the review on that course now. Otherwise, I finished it as far as new learning. And that was just kind of for daily practice from basic vocab. But what I've really been doing is going through these books. Familia Romana, the Lingua Latina book, and also Colloquia Personam. I'm probably not saying those very well. But these are great books for learning Latin, and they are entirely written in Latin. So they are designed to be simple at first, and then you kind of organically get to learn the language. Now, it's not foolproof. There are definitely times when I have to, do some research, and I also have a companion book to that, that for every chapter in there, it kind of goes through the basics of the grammar, the vocab, gives you some background into Roman history, and I've really been enjoying these books, actually, though. There's a subscriber of mine, Sabrina, who, when I announced on BookTube that I was doing this, she reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be study buddies. I said, yes, that'd be terrific. So every week or weekend, pretty much we check in with each other. We do a chapter a week. And it's a great way to not only learn the language in a fairly organic, progressive way, but you're also getting a story about a Roman family and their slaves and the people around them, and learning some Roman history as well. So really fun, but definitely outside of my comfort zone, as learning a new language will always be. Number 3, how many books did you reread in 2022? I read 66, and 3 of them were rereads. That would be Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton, Beowulf, and Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And number 4 is your favorite reread of 2022, and that would probably be Beowulf. I really like Frankenstein. I really like Eaters of the Dead. I like both of those quite a bit. But I just always had a special place in my heart for Beowulf. I had never read the Seamus Heaney translation, so I read that in 2022, and excuse me, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a top for me. Number 5, a book you read for the first time in 2022 that you look forward to rereading in the future. I don't have the book inside this room right now, but I really did like Neil Price's Children of Ash and Elm, A History of the Vikings. I thought that was an excellent overview of Viking society, culture, history, etc. It's definitely a book I'm going to go back to and play around with, look things up again. Another book that I really had fun with, I would say, is Matthew Lewis's The Monk, written in the late 18th century, but a lot of fun. A terrific Gothic book that struck the right, I think, balance between being kind of creepy, but also very kind of tongue-in-cheek. There's a sense of humor about the whole thing. Number 6, favorite single short story or novella that you read in 2022. It's difficult to say. I didn't read too many short stories. I did read a few books that were short stories. I did read Stephen King's Night Shift. I think my favorite story in there is probably The Boogeyman. A guy talking to a psychiatrist about the things that happened to his children and blaming on the boogeyman. That story, especially as a father, kind of struck a chord. Certainly very memorable, but I thought that was a really effective story. Number 7, Mass Appeal, a book you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of readers. I would say another Michael Crichton book that I read, and it was for June on the Range, an event created by Michael K. Vaughan, celebrating Western fiction in the month of June. I had read Michael Crichton's posthumously published novel, Dragon Teeth, about a 19th century, I think he's a Yale student, I think he's in Yale, if I remember correctly, who basically goes out west hunting for dinosaur bones and gets caught up in all kinds of Wild West havoc. And I thought that was a lot of fun, and I think most people who would read that would actually enjoy it for the most part. 8, Specialized Appeal, a book you liked but would be hesitant to recommend it just anyone. Now, that goes for a lot of things that I read. I kind of have more niche, I think, preferences. I don't read a lot of popular stuff. The Monk that I said before, I think I would be cautious about recommending it to other people, although I read that with a group. We've been going through Gothic literature together last year, and we're going to continue it into this year, and we all actually really like that book, so that might have more mass appeal. At the end of 2022, I read Something Fatal Happened on, a fatal thing happened on the way to the Forum, Murder in Ancient Rome, which was a very good and a very entertaining work of popular history about the Roman Empire and about homicide, but the author does use quite a gratuitous use of the F word, so I would just be cautious about who I recommended that to. Number 9, reflect on your year as a bookish content creator. Goals met, good bad memories, favorite videos made, etc. This year was very difficult. Well, not this year, last year now. 2022 was very difficult as a booktuber. Just a lot of personal things going on, mostly having to do with trying to sell and buy a house. We are thankfully inside the new house. I am inside my, you can tell, obviously unfinished office. This will definitely be the last room that we're gonna worry about. Right now, it's kind of a catch-all. You're gonna see this room in disarray for quite a while, I think. Unless my wife surprises me with plans. But as far as I know, this is pretty much going to be mostly me, still some boxes, and at least my TBR bookshelf with some boxes of books, excuse me, behind me. But to get here, it was a rough road. We had a lot of bumps in the road. I mean, of course, there's just the craziness of getting your own house ready to sell. And then we ended up, we had a buyer for our house, and they accepted our offer on this house, but then our buyer ended up falling through, but it fell through like after where the closing date was even supposed to be. All of a sudden, well, a week later, their bank finally told us that they weren't going to be able to give the mortgage to them, made us wait, weren't telling us what was going on, so we had to put our house back on the market again. We fortunately got another buyer, but then we had to go through a whole other process again. It was just a lot of stress, and not one that I want to repeat. And it certainly affected my ability to make booktube videos. I did still make some throughout the year. I still kept making them during that time, but if you go back, you'll see, sometimes several weeks going by in between videos. So, I definitely don't want to repeat that, I have to say. And also, one thing I'd like to do this year that I did, not as much last year, but I did the previous year, my first year on BookTube, is make more videos with my kids. My son is still, he's a reader. I'm going to start making videos with him again. And my daughter's learning to read, so eventually I'll be able to make videos with her as well for BookTube. But I wish last year I was able to make more of those videos. And the last thing is tag some fellow bookish content creators. This is one of those things where I don't have as much time to watch BookTube as I would like. I don't always know who does these things. I don't think that I saw Mark at Book Time with Elvis do this. And he is certainly somebody who does tags quite a bit. Excuse me. I'm trying to remember if Read by Fred did this one. But if you didn't, Fred, I will tag you as well. That's it. I'll keep it at that. So that, once again, is the Book Postscript Tag for 2022. Here we are in January 2023. I'm looking forward to a great year. As always, thank you, BookTube.